Вітайте пана Геннадія Гутгарца.
So, Mr. Gennady Gutgarz, who will present a new art platform, Ukrainian Shroud of Christ. Hello, everybody. Thank you. Sorry for the delay. Maybe we will make a pause soon because we'll have a speaker on Skype from other cities and countries. Thank you once more. I'm Gennady Gutgarz. I'm an artist. I was born and raised in the old and beautiful European city of Kiev. Sometimes I'm just an artist, sometimes I'm an art manager, sometimes I combine both. Today I'll try to talk only about culture, not about politics or economy or economics or war threat, but just about contemporary Ukrainian and European culture. Today we witness a very keen attention towards Ukraine from the European Union. Our striving at European integration and the resistance from Russia causes a huge artistic inspiration, and it happens so in the case of House of Europe UA. I'll tell you about this today. This is an international structure, an art platform which combines elements of professional art management and self-organization of artists. The House of Europe UA works in two major directions. First, the art of EuroMaydan, and this direction is being illustrated by my project, the Sparks of Holiness, and Sergiy Zhadan's new project, Ukrainian Shroud of Christ. You could see the Sparks of Holiness from here several days ago, but now it's been conserved before the inauguration. However, it has been written about, and for instance, the prestigious American publication Russian Life carries an article about this today. It was founded at the end of last century for people of Slavic origin, and this art is understood by clever people who also understand the language of Shevchenko, Brother Burluk, Malevich, and I think that those people would have difficulties with the language of Poplavsky. Now the House of Europe UA is going to launch another project which is called Ukrainian Shroud of Christ, and Ukrainian poet Sergiy Zhadan is taking part in it, and I offer you the fragment of his text. Let's wait a bit. Why such a composition? Why this pink? Well, this is a shade of red. It is just a light. I was counting for night illumination and for perception in the night. Secondly, this is an appeal to paintball, and it should remind that for some people this was like a game, but real people died. And of course it was very important for me to show that red is not just the color of death, but also the color of life. Have you done similar things in other cities? Yes, of course, but I haven't managed to do everything. I still have some paint and the project needs continuation, so in May I found a means to realize it with my friends. We placed the continuation of this project on election boards. These huge splashes on the portraits of Dobkin and others. Now you can listen to Zhadan. Time crawls on us with the carefulness of an animal. Warm hands and December roads, and the country aches like a broken leg of a puppy that is breaking out of a night siege. I will heal your wounds later, as long as I can do it and as well as I will be able to. I will see this later and will see your homelessness like a puppy. Avoid the traps that are placed in your way. You still should walk even if you fall in the end. The stars should be shining upon you or burst like grenades, and the heart should pump your blood, and your bones should heal together, and the scars should add anger. Something is going to happen to you, something has happened and is going on still. Until you live in this way, until you keep this within you, until you hate, until you love. And then there's the second step. Until you keep your faith and the sun is moving. That was the beginning again. We also have the plans. So what have we listened to? This is my new multimedia project, which is called Ukrainian Shroud of Christ, and the text for it was prepared by Sergiy Zhadan, and it was read by the Kiev actor Artem Wilber, because Zhadan was not able to record it. He just sent it and went away. And I am using this text while modeling the action, the Ukrainian Shroud of Christ, which I hope we will be able to realize by the day of independence. Let's go further. We also have plans to realize the project of a strange German artist, Rudolf Hurt, who works at the edge of painting, drama, and other things. He very keenly feels the energy of the land. When he was in Kiev several years ago, he felt the approximation of Maydan, and he created a project in the spirit of the real European avant-garde. We will be able to see it later a bit. We will see it, some of his works, and the design of this project devoted to Maidan. Here is Rudolf during the opening of his exhibition in Bonn, and he loves Ukraine very much. Was there his exhibition in Ukraine? Well, he staged a couple of events in Chernihiv, but we also plan his huge events in Kiev, and also, of course, an exhibition. What is interesting here is that the majority of authors in this art platform, they are multi-genre. Here you see sculpture and painting, for instance, if you talk about Rudolf. Now you see the draft of the event, which is called Premonition of Maidan. I hope that we, on the basis of Odessa Architecture Group, were creating it, but we are now reworking it for Kiev. Our next direction of the House of Europe UA is called Don't Shoot. It is the action of European artists against the contemporary aggression against Ukraine. It starts with the song Don't Shoot by a German singer-songwriter Gerd Kramber, and producer is Vasyl Riabko from Ukraine. Yes, it is it. This is it. Well, let's listen to it and then I'll tell you about it.
Не стреляйте в своих братьев, не бывать еще в войне. Не стреляйте в Бога ради, черной не бывать весне. Не стреляйте в своих братьев, Украина ваша мать. Вы славянские народы, а на НАТО не стрелять. Сколько было войн гражданских, материнских, горьких слез, тысячи смертей ужасных на могилах алых роз. Мир уже стоит на грани.
This is a very interesting story. Gerd is very much preoccupied with the events of last month in Ukraine, and his beautiful song Don't Shoot impressed me and other listeners. Unfortunately, its topicality rises every day. I was glad to meet him and to take part in his trip around Ukraine. During the trip, Gerd and the brilliant musician from Kharkiv, Vasyl Riabko, recorded it in the studio version. We will try to connect with Gerd on Skype. He's awaiting us and he'll tell us something. While we are connecting on Skype, maybe you will tell us something. What are the future plans? Well, mine are, I'm working with this Ukrainian Shroud of Christ project. This is a very complicated and responsible project. And to be honest, it's hard to explain within 2 minutes about what it's about, but I still think that it's going to be as much echoing as the Sparks of Holiness that I made on the House of Trade Unions, and we also need it at the moment. Ukraine needs it at the moment, just like the Sparks of Holiness. I couldn't but make the Sparks of Holiness because I was doing it with making it with the premonition that we have to do it. Later, I heard a number of responses who said that it really helped many people when this house was burned in this center of the city. It helped many people to reconcile themselves with the new architecture of Maidan and the situation. In those huge splashes, I saw one idea that this is about the 105 memories of the heroes of the Heavenly Hundred, but for many people they just help to adapt their perception of the territory. Were there any similar projects in other countries where they had combat actions on the places where the combat actions took place? I don't know. I haven't followed this. I was thinking about different things. I was thinking about what has to be done, and this was in the first turn a reflection, an impulse when I saw the river of flowers that people were taking to Maidan in the last days of February. I still have another question. If you could tell us briefly, do you plan to present your project at some international art platforms? Oh, yes. I very much like the festival Fringe in Edinburgh, Fringe Festival in Edinburgh, which happens every August. And I took part already once in it. This is the biggest open-air festival, theater festival in the world. Fantastic atmosphere, and if I manage, with time, I will probably try to translate my ideas there. Gerd Kramber, well, he was here, he's not here with us anymore. What about Pinchuka Center? Well, I wasn't invited. And the space of Kiev, I think, is, well, unfortunately, regrettably, we cannot connect. Well, I and Gerd were talking a lot, and we're preparing together for this conference, so I think I have the right to air his thoughts, and he is very much concerned with what's happening. He loves Russian culture and Ukrainian culture, and as a person who lives in Europe, he feels this disbalance of the events that are taking place, and what he wants to say the most is that art figures should do everything in order to stop this tragedy. And there are no prerequisites for it, but people are dying every day, so he's doing this very actively with the song that just churns your soul out. And I think that everyone can go on YouTube and listen to the song Don't Shoot and feel what he wanted to say. And what about the third project by Vasyl Riabko? Just half a minute, I'll come back to Don't Shoot, because this is a concept. This is not just one song, this is a marathon, and the aim of this marathon is to bring about the works in this marathon will be collected, assembled in special releases, and will be placed on the site of the marathon and on the waves of our partners. And the aim is to inform Russians and the entire world of the attitude of the art community towards the aggression, and Ukrainian artists are just obliged to take part in it. But we also have the responsibility for our younger brothers, Russians, because for several hundred years we have made them used to our humanitarian support, and we should not stop this, we should help them. And the third trend of our activity is the help in the Euro integration in culture and art, and the project that we illustrate this direction with is called Ode House of Europe.
Vasyl Riabko is now here. In this project, the musicians and painters of all the world are working on musical work where Schiller's poems will be performed in many languages, and the words of Ukrainian anthem will start and finish this clip, but the music will be of the Ode to Europe, and this stylistics will be different. It will combine different types of music. The version of the Oda, which is ready, Riabko, illustrated by real events of Kharkiv EuroMaydan. As I promised in the beginning, We will be trying to talk about culture only. Now, Vasyl will say a couple of words. Vasya, tell us a few words about the project. The project is super. Unfortunately, impossible to understand. The sound is interrupted. It's interrupted. Translation is impossible. The connection is very bad on Skype. I believe that Gennady will explain what you wanted to tell us. Gennady, tell us a few words. Vasya, do you delegate it to me? By this project, we want to show the possibility how the artists who live and work in different countries and different cities can cooperate. I'm sure that we will get involved also poems that will be prepared by different artists from different countries of Europe and will perform it in different languages. We will now demonstrate the version which we have with Ukrainian and German parts in it. This is the story not about politics. This is the story not about authorities or violence. This is the story of love. Dmitro and Diana, they met at Maydan and they want to be the most happy people. This is Vasyl, the musician. He with friends wants to be happy. And at the same time, Sergiy, who is a poet, with Yurko and other friends are also implementing the project. Always singing.
Schöner Götterfunken, Tochter aus Elysion, wir betreten feuertrunken.
German Gerd, he's supporting all the Ukrainians.
Was die Mode streng geteilt, alle Menschen werden Brüder, wo dein sanfter Flügel weilt.
Wonderful project. There are 370 views only. Only today it was posted. I requested Vasyl not to post it before this press briefing. The whole Kharkiv, they all wanted to see it because the guy, this young guy and girl, they met at the Kharkiv Maydan, and Sergiy Zhadan there, we with Gerd. So it's published on the 1st of July. This needs to be shared so that everyone who was at Maidan sees it. That's a wonderful project. And that's what I wanted to tell. That is Ode House of Europe. And Ukraine is really a partner in the European cultural process, and we emphasize European cultural values and individual characteristics of each country of European Union. In the part where Gerd is singing, we were trying to show that by musical arrangement. And Vasyl could feel the whole Maidan of Kharkiv. You know that there were some tragic events there. With his team, he's the head of Papa Carla group, music group. He's one of the ideologists. And the guy who's getting married, he was also leading Kharkiv EuroMaydan. And why I am talking about that, we see the signs of how the artists, of what the artists could do themselves. It is important also that creation of this Trans-European Cultural Center should take place in Ukraine, because Europe, together with Ukraine, has a unique chance. The preliminary impulse for uniting Europe after the Second World War were after-war traumas. And now the tragic event is uniting Europe without Ukraine, the biggest European state that lived in Soviet, that was imprisoned by Soviets. Now, after in several stages via tragic events taking place, and our eyes, Ukraine is getting rebirth. It can give to European Union much better positive impulse for strengthening, which Europe needs today. Most of the projects are virtual projects. They are the personal initiative of artists. Can you imagine the power of these projects if we get the material and technical support? That is why we believe that House of Europe UA should be materialized in Ukraine as a powerful art center that will be receiving European artists and will be giving them the opportunity to create here and also translate these ideas all over the world. Very soon we will see the confirmation of how important our actions are and how important the cultural component is for European integration. Thank you for attention. Glory to Ukraine. Slava Ukraini. Any questions? Then I have a question. Is there a website? How can we find this website? House of Europe, Dim Euro. It's not. I will. dimevro.io.ua. We are the artists, and unfortunately we do not have time for administering, but I hope that the results are quite demonstrative. What we saw is impressive. Please continue. We'll be happy to present new projects in your wonderful center. Thank you.